Algorand just made a crypto prices all over the place today, but we got some good news on one of the Algorand projects that I want to share and a whole source of other news for you. So stay tuned because we got a really interesting show today. Welcome everyone. We got Duke Luke MD in the chat saying woo woo, what is going on? I don't know if that's woo woo like excited or woo woo like crazy, you know, crystals and stuff like that. I don't know. All I know is I don't even know what to say about the market anymore. It's just kind of trading sideways, and it's not the most exciting thing to talk about. I do want to share a big win I had in Algorand. I'll probably share more details about it on our channel member video tomorrow, but we got plenty to talk about. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and pretty quiet chat, but we got a pretty decent audience starting out already, so I appreciate that. And before we do that, if you guys are watching, haven't hit the like button already, please hit that like button. It helps share the channel to other people and get this live out. Very important to do that early on if possible. A free way to support the channel. And if you're finding this channel and you're not subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate that. Now you can press each of those buttons gently. You don't have to smash them, as I always say. Just press them nice and gently, and it works just fine that way too. And I realize I haven't been using that catchphrase as much as I used to, which is too bad because it's one of the things people associate with me, and I got to remember to use that a little bit more. It's just, you know, why smash it? You don't have to. So thanks for that. We're going to talk about our channel sponsor Haystack today because they had a big announcement, and I think this is the biggest thing they've come out with. So we're going to share that in our Algorand news segment. But in the meantime, I appreciate everyone here, and you can check them out in the links below. Pretty quiet chat, so why don't we just get to the markets. Before we do that, just a reminder, we're live on YouTube. We're live on YouTube Vertical as well. So some of you might be watching on YouTube Vertical. If you're watching on Vertical, give us a shout out. I want to hear that people are seeing it. It's the YouTube Studio app shows that it's working, and it doesn't differentiate. I would really love to see that. In fact, I'm going to pull that up while we're talking here because I just want to see if it does indeed show me somewhere where if people are watching on Vertical versus the standard YouTube. I'd be really curious. It creates it in the short stream, but I don't know where people actually see it. So I'm just gonna take a look while we talk. Your prices are going up ever so slightly right now, which is pretty cool. Got a decent audience already too, which is pretty neat. I just want to see. I'm trying to see if doesn't seem like it shows. Hackendecta says, hey there, good to see you. Well, thanks for being in the chat. I appreciate that. I realize I'm going to have to move over a little bit to try to get actually I got to go this way a little bit. There we go. Hopefully that'll get us into the, yeah, maybe if I'm going to zoom out actually a little bit. Hopefully that will get me in the frame on the Vertical a little bit. I realize I should probably pay attention to that at least a little bit. This is not going to be perfect on Vertical, but it doesn't tell me. Yeah, I really wish it told me where I was, you know, if I'm live on YouTube versus, or on regular versus Vertical. It's just not going to show me that anywhere, it looks like. Okay, well, it is what it is. It's funny because I saw people share that too, and I just can't see it anywhere. So, all right, that's taking a lot of juice. And why don't we just we got a good little audience. And just a reminder, we're live on YouTube, YouTube Vertical, on X. We're live on Kick and on Twitch. So, but enough about that. Oh, we got World Liberty Financial Famous says, good morning from the Bay Area, folks. Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on here. Appreciate that. Good to have you in the chat. Let's take a look at prices this morning. And again, just one more time, if you are, yeah, I didn't get a chance to, here we go. Actually, we're going to go Oh, these got flipped around. That's interesting. Sorry about that. Market cap up 1.2% today, but just over 3 trillion. Now, remember, we were much higher than this earlier, 3.3 even last week, I think. So it's like a return, but it's like a bounce. But this isn't like, you know, Bitcoin's still at 88.5, Ethereum under 3,000 still. I'm just so excited about the Haystack news. I can't wait to get to the Algorand segment today. BNB, I mean, everything's up a little bit is kind of like the theme here, except for Hyperliquid, which is up 21% over 24 hours. That's crazy. Interesting. X402 is official. Any guess its reflection on price? Never say never, but from what I've been seeing in the last couple of years, especially the last year or so, is that crypto news almost never moves the price. And usually, actually, the rumors always, you know, the old saying was buy the rumor, sell the news. But mostly that was because once the news came out, it meant it was a little bit too late already. And so look at Canton. Canton did 17%. This is like a market. I'm starting to suspect this Canton is a market counter indicator, because it tends to move in the opposite direction, although it's up with the pump today too. Let's see who's winning over 24 hours. That is Hyperliquid by far, followed by Pump.fun. So I've been, World 5 says it's backwards now. Interesting. Any comment on SpaceX and WiseKey? Thank you. I don't know about that. We'll take a look at that later. We got, yeah, so I was going to say about Pump.fun is actually I've had some interesting, I've been playing around a little bit with it, and I might start doing a little trading on there just for fun as an experiment. As you know, I like to just try things out. You know, we can talk about stuff all day long. You can see people, you can have people say, this is when you actually try things out, that's when you know. And so I try to do little experiments in crypto, and Pump.fun, I have been kind of pretend trading on it. Spider Greg says, Canton is top notch. Happy to dump my 300,000 algo at this point. The second I'm even up on it a little. And you know, WiseKey has Hedera integrated into their hardware reported. I believe that's on that. I might have talked about that earlier. We can look at that during our Hedera segment for sure, William. So thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Canton, Here's my thought. You know, so people got really mad when I said that I was selling some Algorand, and I know I made my title a little hyperbolic, but that's one of the things I'm seeing sound on here. Let me check. Are people? Hold on a second. This is to test it. Okay, I'm talking. I'm getting sound on. Okay, yeah, I don't know. That seems to be on your end. William says, oh, some people are saying no sound. Other people are saying that's fine. I don't know what to tell you. I just tested it on my phone and the sound is fine. So I'm not sure what to say about that. I'll just have to keep going. It's showing up as working on my end on my OBS. I'm getting it on my phone. So it's interesting that I have two people that said no sound, but other people said it's fine. I don't know. Are you watching on vertical or regular? Tell me that. Meanwhile, let's get back to this. So yeah, Canton seems to be very interesting, and I'm keeping an eye on it. You can't buy it on Coinbase, which is kind of annoying. It seems like they lose a lot of these. And you know, as far as I know, this doesn't seem like a scam. I haven't looked into it a ton, but oh, it says they logged out fine now. Okay, coolio. Sounds great, says Cats. Thanks for being in the chat. My well, very lovely lady in the chat there. So Hackendeck test says no sound naturally because it's a Algorand's price conversation. Oh yeah, so what I was saying is, and I'm sorry we're getting a little sidetracked here. What I was saying is, I made my video and maybe it was a little hyperbolic, but the idea is I'm just trimming my position and moving some of that capital into plays that I think are just going to do better. Now, I've said this all along. I've said this since the very start of the channel, that Algorand's price action has not matched other coins. It just doesn't. Spider Greg says, wasn't this that streamer who that one deranged problematic Algorand moderator? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Were you the one that got in a fight with him? I told you guys are both we're going crazy, and I told you to back off. So if that was you, I don't remember. Can we just stick to the topic at hand? Let's do that. Anyway, like we said, Hyperliquid, then Pump.Fun, Chili's, Zcash. We got these three are over 10% on the day. Zcash at 10%, so that's starting to pop back up a little bit. Lighter, Layer Zero, Jupiter's on here, Axie again. And then Aster, another one you can't get on Coinbase unless they've added that recently. And then Ethereum's actually up there as number 10, followed by Monero. So that's pretty interesting. Again, what don't you see on here? You don't see Algorand, you don't see Hedera. Even Solana's not on there. How about the 7-day now? Get a coin by River, obviously a new top 100 entrant. Kaya. Hyperliquid's up there, Pump Fund's up there, Axie is up there, Canton, Layer Zero is up there, Lighter, MYX, and once again, Zcash followed by Aster. So these are some of the ones I see every week. With some exceptions, like I said, River, Kaya, these weren't on here before, but that's what we got going on. Who's down on the 24? River, River and Kaya are the top negative ones on the 24-hour, even though they're top gainers on the 7-day. That's interesting. So they had a huge pump up and then a pullback, obviously. Meme Core at 3% down. Sky down a little bit. Polygon down. Remember, this was at 15 cents at one point. One of my worst, that is absolutely one of my worst buys ever. Followed by Render. Render had been on a tear lately, not so much anymore. Immutable X, even XRP's on there. So yeah, once again, you ever notice when I do these top 10, both in the positive and negative, Algorand and Hedera are never on there. And then negative for 7-day dash ICP had been on a tear, that's going down. Monero had been on a tear, going down. Polygon, just, it's Polygon. Meme Core, Arbitrum, Story, XDC. Where's Bobby Jonas in our chat? He's super anti. He's a big XDC fan who pops in my chat. I haven't seen him in a while. Athena and then Pi. So, interesting story with Pi. I'd actually played around with this. My sister actually got me into this, of all things. Her and her ex-husband, now ex-husband, but her husband at the time, were playing around with this, and I was like, okay, I'll play around with it too. And it was before it ever launched a token, or had launched publicly. So I have like 500 of these or something. Anyway, that's what's going on with the markets. Now let's just look at, since this is, we tend to focus on Cliff. Polygon is Polygon. It is. It just is. Let's see now. Hedera down to number 25. Now remember, this was in the top 20 before, but kind of like decent little pump. Nothing huge. 1% on the 1 hour and at 1.2, almost 1.3% on the 7-day. So, World 5 Famous says H-bar. This is still a 2x for me. So that's a big difference between Algorand, which actually, I shouldn't even say that because I actually have no idea. Owned was up a little bit recently on the 1 hour. Interesting. Let's see, where's Algorand? Algorand down to number 63. And pretty flat on the 24-hour, but up in the last up 2% almost in the last hour or so. And then 6% on the week, so that's pretty good. Anyway, what I'm doing with my Algorand, like I said, is I'm kind of decreasing my position. I'm DCAing out, dollar cost averaging out of Algorand, just to put in the stuff that's doing a little, I think is going to do a little better. But that's what I want to cover for that. Let's go to our sponsor, Haystack. And we do have news on them, and I'm pretty excited about this. I have some thoughts too, but we're going to switch over to Haystack to look at our Algorand coins. And we have to kind of drop down because they track the price of T-Algo and X-Algo and all that. GoBTC is on here, but then there's Alpha, which is up 5% on the 7-day. That's pretty good. But Haystack actually dropping down, but coming up in the hour. I think that might be because of the news they announced, and we are going to get to that, by the way. And by the way, if you want to trade on Haystack, they have some of the lowest fees around for trading. Mobile first app, but you can use mobile and the web, so either one that you like. And you can find the link in the description down below and get started with Haystack today. Hack Index says, but 2026 is Algorand's year. Well, we'll see, and if it is, then my sells will be lucrative, and if it isn't, then I'm shifting positions. So it's kind of a can't lose strategy if 2026 is indeed the year. Just seeing for any outliers here. We get 6% up on the week for, well, it's G-Algo. That's just matching Algorand basically, except for, extra gains. Coop with a big pump at 8% on the week. That's nice to see. If you're a Coop holder, it is almost at 1 penny a piece. I know we're getting to the point where you can't see it, but you can't see Coop, but this is it. You can see where my cursor is. Otherwise, not much. I want to show you one, and hopefully it will. Now I want to highlight this one. I'm going to go, let's see, does that help? No, it doesn't. And let me show, yeah, this shows it pretty well. So this is the Nugget, ILC Nugget token. There was a huge mistake for Nugget where they accidentally sent out a whole bunch, like 3 billion of these coins or something, and it totally tanked the price. So I thought, is this mine? Yeah, here's mine. Actually, you can see it. You can see, this is what's kind of cool. It shows me where I bought. So I bought about $5 worth just to play around with this. And I sold $7.50 up here. And everything I got like 30, I still got like $30 worth. So that is, yeah, 33.20 is my P&L right now. Really cool that you can see this right on here. Now, I know this is small amounts. This is just a little experiment, and the experiment really paid off. So now I'm just collecting this nugget every week, and it basically was free. It was free because I took out profit, and this is a microcosm. This is not big dollars. I've done this at much bigger scales, of course, but this is how, this was a little experiment, and now I've got this free stuff coming in because I get nugget every day for holding nugget. And the price has been coming back. So that, I think that's pretty neat. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, and because I thought that was interesting. Let's go over to, I'm going to go to Saucer Swap. Not a sponsor, but if anyone knows anyone at Saucer Swap, I know I've had some interactions with them. Be happy to bring them on as our Hedera sponsor. And I like that they're adding these. I think it's cool that Haystack has one, and it's cool that Hedera has one. And like we said, it's the price is moving up a little in the last hour, but on the 24-hour down, pretty much everything's kind of like even. BSL is up 4.58%. Gib took a big drop at 4.5%. Grelf at 2% up. Oh, Da Vinci took a big drop at 7%. I do wish we had weekly on here. Hopefully they'll add that next. Yeah, a few things doing all right. A lot of this is all like other coins though, like Wrap Bitcoin and Link, the HTS version of Link. Steam up a little bit. H Suite is up. That's kind of nice at 4%. Yeah, but otherwise not a lot to get super excited about. It is nice to see some coins doing well. But most are, this whatever HBARC is, it dropped like 20%. That's a huge drop. Now, if you believe in this project, you know, sometimes that's a good little excuse to buy. That is what's going on with Saucer Swap. And yeah, I think we can get right to our news. I just want to see how we're doing here. It's like, do you want to rate the app? No, I don't want to rate the app. I'm kind of busy right now. All right. So I got Algorand and HBAR stuff today, and we can get to both. I'm gonna do Algorand though because oops. There it is. I just added. While on stream, I'm adding to the Algorand segment as we speak, thanks to Mark V. But let's let me set up our Algorand segment. While I set this up, as I always say, I do not respond to chats that aren't relevant to the segment. So if you leave one of those, I'll respond afterwards. But in the meantime, and while we're at it, if you're watching and you haven't hit the like button already, please do so. And like I said, you don't have to smash it. You can actually just press it gently, and it works just fine that way too. Also, we are, if you're not subscribed, of course, you'll definitely want to subscribe, and definitely give some love to our, channel sponsor, Haystack, which is you can check it out in the link below in our chat, in our what do they call it? Description box of the video. And I'll probably include some links on I'll add as cards if I can. I don't know if I'm actually able to do that. William PMC says, is it correct that HBAR ETF could increase ratio of tokens to shares over time, even if that ratio degrades in the short term? Yeah, that world of ETFs and treasury companies and all that it's really, really interesting. I'm not sure about the ratios. I haven't really looked into that. Frugal BC, did you end up liquidating your Algorand? I remember you mentioned you might have over allocated. Yeah, so I've been DCAing out a little bit, and it's a tiny bit. This is why when people freaked out, I was like, relax, guys. It's just a trimming of the position. I think it's wise. I don't think the market is here. People say 2026 is Algorand's year, and we'll see. If it is, then my buys will make my sell-offs will make a lot of sense. And if it doesn't, then I'm repositioning anyway, so it doesn't matter. I think a lot of people, from what I've seen, a lot of people will round trip their, if you're in altcoins, it's so easy to round trip. It's so easy to have these pumps, get all excited about it, take zero profits, and then get wrecked. You gotta lock in your profits when you got them. So that's my answer. Anyway, let's get to this segment because I think this is interesting. And yeah, someone mentioned X402. We'll get to that. So 1 second. So you guys know that Haystack has been one of my favorite projects since it launched, and there's some huge news around Haystack that I think is going to make this one of the most valuable platforms on Algorand. And I don't say that lightly because this new feature is no joke. It's no small thing. It's going to be huge. And that's just some of the Algorand news we have today, by the way. There's a ton of stuff to talk about, but we're going to start with the Haystack news that just launched yesterday. All right, this is directly from Haystack themselves. New features just dropped in Haystack. Auto yield is now live. Your assets no longer sit idle. They earn by default. That is huge, guys. By the way, you can get this on iOS and Android, and you can go check it out. There's a link right in my description to check it out. Anyway, until now, every time you wanted to trade, you had to manually withdraw from lending or staking, do your swap or transfer, then remember to deposit again. It's annoying, right? Auto yield removes all that work. It's just automatic. And I already set this up. I went into my Haystack app and turned this on. So I'm really curious to see how that goes. With auto yield, swap, stake, and spend normally. When your funds are idle, they are deposited into lending. When you trade or spend, they are withdrawn instantly from lending or staking. This all happens in the background in a single user action. Now you have to have your assets on Haystack to do this, which is why I think a ton of assets are going to go to Haystack. We'll talk more about that in a minute. There are 0 fees on auto yield, no routing fees, no deposit or withdrawal fees, no performance fees. You earn exactly the native yield from the lending or staking protocols. Yield just became a part of holding a balance in Haystack. Complexity abstracted, yield by default. Find auto yield settings in the top right corner of the home tab, only available in the mobile app. And I did turn this on, so it should be working, but I don't have a ton of stuff on there yet, but I think I'm going to start transferring over. I've found some issues with transferring assets. It just makes me a little nervous because there's a deposit algo. I don't know. It's a little confusing the way that I do wish the onboarding worked. I wish you could just do it right from the web. Like I wish I could just connect my Wallet and then send it that way. Maybe you can, and I just didn't see it, but it doesn't look like you can. Also live biometric app lock, Face ID, fingerprint, and auto swap for referral rewards. Auto swap allows you to send a target asset and swap all referral rewards into the target asset automatically, which is it's kind of neat. But I'm most excited, end of thread. So people are very excited about this. Me personally, I think this is a game changer. If you can just imagine, you don't even have to hunt for yield. You're just going to get it automatically. And, it's optional. You don't have to have it. But I don't see why people wouldn't do this. This seems like absolutely killer. I just, I couldn't be more excited about this, and I can't wait to try it out more. Like I said, my one issue I noticed was that it's like getting stuff to Haystack seems a little challenging. Now I've gotten some stuff on there mostly because I've gotten fees from. So if you refer people, and you can do that too, if you sign up through my link, you can then start referring people as well. You get a little cut of the fees of the people who signed up under you. And I've gotten some people, and so I got some on there, but I haven't successfully sent stuff to there. So that's my next step, and I'm going to be checking into that. But that is not the only Algorand news we got today. This is right hot off the presses from Mark Vandelenberg, who's the CMO and Chief Strategy Officer, actually. So CSMO, technically, of the Algorand Foundation. And Algorand's X402 spec has now been officially merged by Coinbase. This is very exciting. Algorand is the best chain to support X402 micropayments. Now that's an important thing when we start dealing with agent-to-agent payments. Fees are very low and transactions are instantly final. In addition, the Algorand X402 spec takes advantage of another Algorand-only property, atomic grouping. This allows for more complex payment instructions, including real-time swaps and flexible fee delegation options. Together with Go Plausible, and Go Plausible is kind of like they are on the forefront of doing this stuff that works with, the MCP, GPT, X402, all these languages for AI agents. They're on the forefront of that. And they're the ones that I think they did the first test of agent payments. We saw that happen live. It was really cool. Together with Globe Plausible, we will make it super easy for developers to get started with X402 on Algorand by providing extensive tooling and access to Algorand X402 Facilitator. Coming soon, hopefully very soon. But we're here. This is a pretty big deal. And that is not even close to all the stuff we've got. I thought this was interesting. Algorand has crossed 2 billion algo staked, 23% of the circulating supply. At the same time, the foundation now accounts for only 19% of the total stake, meaning 81% comes from the community. That's still a lot. I would like to see that number get lower, but that was the idea. Network security, stake distribution, and decentralization have never been stronger. It is actually included 1,600 validator nodes, a big increase over the 900 back in December 2024, which is actually a little over a year ago. And I think one of the biggest changes that Algorand made that was for the positive was that they decided, you know what, we have to start rewarding validator node runners because no one's going to do it on their own. And, you know, Charlie Munger said, show me the incentive and I'll show you the behavior. They incentivized it, and that's what's happened. You put incentivization in there, people get paid to run nodes and they're going to run them. That's doubling. And that number grew. You know, this was already live, basically. People were setting it up to start earning. So that was pretty neat. And that's not all we've got. This from ChainSpec. Just in, Algo Foundation just processed nearly 1 million transactions in a single day. That's Algorand's strongest throughput in over a month. You can check that out here on the ChainSpec app. This is one of my favorite Explorer tools. They call it the Blockchain Fundamentals Tracker, which I think is great. And I think this is absolutely awesome. Big move up, and we're going to keep tracking that because you want more transactions. Now, Masked Mage says Algorand Foundation will pull from the stake as they run out of algo to sell. Well, that's true too. That's part of it, right? If they just have less algo to stake, then that's probably going to be a big part of it. And Algorand Daily Lottery in the chat here, by the way, 4,100 transactions and counting. It is doing their part. I agree with that. That's fine. Anyway, I thought that was a good little piece of information. We got, MJ also talking about the X402 specification proposal merged. So very, very cool. And Parafund going live 10 a.m. Eastern time. Is that 11 here? It should be live then, right? Yeah, here it is. Parafund is live. There are no excuses not to try Algorand. Fund your wallet with Algo or USDC in seconds. Swap crypto via Exodus, XO Swap. Buy with fiat, global on-ramps via Real Meld. ETH, Sol, Bitcoin, XRP, Base, and more. Less friction, more liquidity to flow, all in one para-native experience. Start funding, start building. That's interesting. I feel like I don't fully understand that, if I'm being honest. Oh, I get it. Remember they shared this screenshot where they had ETH, Sol, Bitcoin, XRP, all that stuff on there, and you can do it right from. That's really, really neat. I don't have to keep an eye out for that. Looks like maybe not working according to IH_algo. Well, let's see. That's that. Have any more algo? I thought this was kind of interesting. Tonight, I tried out Houdini Swap as they added algo to their private cross-chain swap solution. Basic premise is Bob creates a payment link to receive X amount of algo. Bob sends the link to Alice. Alice pays using her favorite crypto. The crypto is swapped and sent through multiple exchanges. So when Bob finally receives the algo, it's from I probably should have just pulled this up. It's from an exchange address, not Alice's address. Bob never discloses his wallet to Alice. Alice doesn't reveal her address to Bob. Alice can also pay an algo, Bitcoin, ETH, XLM, or other crypto. Houdini converts it to algo. I think this is like, this may not seem like a big deal. I think this is a big deal because you want, this is called abstraction. This is where I can just send something and get it back. I don't have to worry about, am I exchanging it, swapping it here, doing this, blah, 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 blah. The downside is it took longer than 2.8 seconds, more like 5 minutes. It's still in beta, and as always, do your own research. Not an endorsement, just providing the info, as this solution may benefit some Algorand projects or users. Glad to see more projects integrating Algorand. I think this is, I keep saying this is like everything I say, but this is important, guys. This is private cross-chain swap solution, which makes things so easy. So much easier. It's wonderful. So this is the kind of stuff like I think really matters, because one of the apps that I thought, why doesn't this exist? And there's some other solutions coming to this too. I thought, why can't I just send a payment to someone and they can get it, they can use crypto rails for, I send it to, I don't know, I send it to Jim in Mexico, or Jose in Mexico, we'll say maybe. And Jose gets the money and it goes right to his bank account. And I don't have to worry about like paying this big fee, like Western Union fee. Maybe they charge like a little bit of a fee, but it's way smaller than Western Union. So that's that. Is there anything else I wanted to do? Oh, it's doing that thing where it mixes them up again. Yeah, this is the thing from Glow Plausible. Algorand agency subscriptions surpassed 1,000 unique Algorand users. So like I said, Go Plausible, I have a hard time saying that. This is the company working on Algorand that does all the AI agent stuff. It's pretty impressive. You know, I'll admit, I don't entirely understand what they're doing. Go Plausible subscriptions have surpassed 11,000 unique Algorand accounts. So someone's understanding this. I just don't get it yet. And then I wanted to point this out. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about, I think. Can a blockchain do that? Algorand can. An unlikely source of crypto innovation, Afghanistan. So this was a New York Times article, by the way. A New York Times article talking about Haystack Pay. And I haven't checked since it came out. I'm sure there's like an archive version I can read somewhere at this point. But talking about how Haystack Pay is helping people in Afghanistan who otherwise don't have access to solid banks and all that kind of stuff. So nice to see. Now, I've heard they don't actually mention Algorand in the article, which I think is I could kind of see why they wouldn't, because I think there's some issues with if they promote a specific coin, it might seem like they're trying to pump the price or something like that. I don't know for sure. But if it's involved in that, I think they probably should name it, because it makes sense too. But pretty cool to see a Algorand-based project mentioned in the New York Times. So I wish we could go through and read it, but it is behind a paywall. I don't subscribe to the New York Times, and we're not going to get into the reasons, but that's that. Anyway, that is our Algorand segment for today. And we got a lively chat here. Yeah, people having an argument. I said, I heard Stacy will be joining in stream soon. Yeah, we'll see about that. Okay, well, if he's harassing you on your page, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't control him. So anyway, that's we'll be done with the Algorand segment for today. Yeah, Spider, I'm sorry if he's harassing you. I'll look into that after the stream. We can't deal with that while we're on the stream. And I don't control him. He doesn't work for me, but you guys had an argument. It started to get out of hand. I told you guys both to chill out, and you guys kept continuing. So, but anyway, let's see how the stream is doing. We're going to start with we're going to go to our H-bar segment next. Because I thought I had a few more. It's going to be a little shorter of a segment, I think, but let me get some water. By the way, this is available as a podcast. So you can search Frugal BC. What do you mean you never had a mod? Okay, I do see. I see that he did comment on your, but just he did comment on your YouTube channel. I see that. Okay, we'll deal with that later. I have to think about that. But you guys do remember getting into an. You guys did get into an argument. I remember the argument. It happened on stream. I was here. I don't remember what you were arguing about, to be honest. Okay. Anyway. This is why we can't have nice things. Let's see. Mass Mage, I 100% agree with you. So both of you guys go in your... Oh, God. Okay. Well, Algo Gary, you did go to his channel. I saw the comment, and I think that was unnecessary. So you're not going to be a mod if you keep doing that, okay? Like, I don't think that's okay. And yes, he did bring it up. I think he brought it up because you commented on his channel. Anyway, I have to look something up. SpaceX. I'm going to focus on crypto, and you guys, you're both going to get a timeout. Oh yeah, we've talked about this. Okay. Oh, I already have that pulled up. Yeah, I actually did have the wise key thing. I'll start with that. Okay, well, anyway. Wait, there's a forum? What? I guess he's talking about this. I don't know, guys. Okay. You know what? We're going to get to... I'm not paying attention to any of this, so just stop. Both of you stop, and we're not talking about this anymore, and just ignoring it. So that is what it is. We got crypto to talk about. I know, Masked Mage. Exactly. Exactly. Smack my head too. Let's get to Hedera, because let's see. Let me set up the segment. Oh, by the way, before we get to that, I've been remiss. Yep, nothing but some... Oh, I did get a laughing emoji from Chaos Neutral on Kick, so thanks for that. Sorry to... I should probably just keep it here, because then I'll see everything. Okay. So you guys know that Hedera had a huge year last year in 2025. Enterprises are knocking at the door of Hedera, likely because of the makeup of its governing council. But did you know there's a connection between Hedera and SpaceX? Let's look into this, because I think this is super interesting. And one of the reasons I'm very bullish on HBAR. This is from B. Mendo. Mind blown yet again by HBAR coincidences. Too many coincidences for HBAR not to be one of the chosen ones. Hedera co-founders Lehman Baird and Mance Harmon both served in the U.S. Air Force and taught at the Academy. Now WiseKey Quantum Secure deploys Sealcoin on Hedera. Swiss Army picks them for satellites. Defense-grade trust layer incoming. Too perfect. And we've talked about this before. I'm blowing, just wait. The real monster is Weekend Group Swiss. They manage 100 plus institutions and are migrating to Hedera right now, Q1 2026. Every major institutional transaction will soon be verified by Weekend's Quantum Safe Stack. That's a hard one to say. Quantum Safe Stack. HBAR isn't just a coin, it's becoming the global compliance rail. I think you can't ignore the size of some of these partnerships. When you have SpaceX involved with Hedera, you have NVIDIA involved with Hedera. I really want to see a day where NVIDIA ends up on the governing council. I think that'd be awesome. What a great partner they would be. I mean, they're perfect for that, right? Absolutely perfect. I wanted to highlight this from King Solomon, Ryan Solomon. Document found the ECB just approved DLT issued securities as eligible collateral. Starting March 30th, 2026, banks can use DLT issued assets to unlock central bank liquidity. Exploring ways to expand eligibility to assets issued and settled entirely on DLT networks. As you know, Hedera is based on DLT, distributed ledger technology. And this is a press release he dug up from the European Central Bank. The Euro system will accept marketable assets issued on CSDs using DLT-based services are as eligible collateral for Eurosystem credit operations as of March 30th, 2026. So that is coming up, guys. Like other marketable assets, they must comply with Eurosystem collateral eligibility criteria and collateral management requirements. These criteria include availability for settlement in eligible securities settlement systems, which must be compliant with CSD regulation and reachable via Target 2 securities. These assets will be modified as collateral in line with the Eurosystem's existing collateral management practices like any other marketable asset. And Grapevine says crypto Insight UK, and I 100% agree. Quant also part of this, so not necessarily just Hedera, but You got Quant. You got, see if there's any more commentary on this. This is the real unlocked DLT assets moving from pilot to liquidity bearing collateral changes how banks take them seriously. And here's a good one. Example could be covered bonds, senior unsecured bank bonds, corporate bonds, supranational bonds, and short-term instruments like commercial paper. First on the traditional regulated CSDs like Euroclear and Clearstream, hoping for XRPL, Hedera, Algo, etc. integration. So I think this is a great find by Ryan Solomon of Genfinity, friend of the channel as always, and he's done some really good work. He really digs out some of these obscure press releases, and I think that's pretty impressive. So, you know, good for Ryan. And one thing I want to get to that I think is very interesting is, you know, we talked about the McLaren Racing partnership, but there's a little more to it. And this piece looks at why McLaren Racing chose Hedera over Ethereum for fan collectibles. Now, the TLDR here is, according to the article, McLaren Racing chose Hedera over Ethereum for its digital fan collectibles because Hedera offers instant finality, predictable low fees, and enterprise-grade reliability at scale, critical for free-to-claim activations during live race weekends. Yeah, you can't have it go slow. I'll tell you, I bought something. Now, I think Ethereum's gotten a little faster since then, but I bought something on Ethereum, and it took like an entire evening to settle. And, you know, it was a few $100s. So you're just kind of living in no man's land when that money is out there. And you know that, like, if something goes wrong, you know, you're just kind of out, right? No one wants that. So, and then, of course, the low fees is really important here because, yeah, it could end up costing them so much more money. A jump in fees could suddenly cost them a whole lot of money doing what, especially if it's free to claim activations. Like, yeah, you can't have this huge volatility in fees. That's crazy. Unlike Ethereum, Hedera avoids gas fee volatility. Yeah, and Hedera has a fixed fee. Now, they raised it from, I believe it was 0.001 HBAR to 0.008. So it did increase recently, but that's still extremely low. When you think one HBAR is like 10 cents right now, 0.008 that's like 100th. That's like what is that? A tenth of a penny, something like that in fees. I shouldn't do public math. It's usually a bad idea. Congestion is another factor. So don't forget that. And then wallet friction, enabling, so Hedera doesn't have any of that, enabling seamless onboarding for millions of non-crypto fans. Its governance model, security, and energy efficiency also aligned with McLaren's operational and brand requirements. Now that's interesting. That means they care about energy, they care about the security part, and the governance model. That's interesting, right? Because we think, do companies care about this? Apparently they do. Investor takeaway, this is a real-world consumer deployment choosing infrastructure built for scale, cost certainty, and mainstream adoption, a clear validation of Hedera's enterprise positioning. Now, I will say, this is really interesting, I think. I don't know. I'm not like a huge F1 fan. I really did like the Netflix series that they put out. There's probably a season I haven't seen now too. I don't know if people are huge fans of the like McLaren or Ferrari. Like, I don't know what the fan base is. Are they fan bases of the specific drivers or the teams? I fully admit to not knowing a ton in detail. What I will say is this was something, we saw a preview of this with Algorand when FIFA was minting all its NFTs on its fan NFTs on Algorand, and you could do it from fiat rails. And people thought this would be this huge onboarding to Algorand. Never really materialized much. And then eventually FIFA launched its own chain, its own coin, but it was on, what was it on, Arbitrum or AVAX? It was one of the two. I think it was AVAX, but someone in the chat probably will remind me. Which was pretty upsetting for Algorand people because, like, and they never promoted it. So I'm hoping that McLaren actually promotes their their products. It sounds like they're going to, which is good. But that was one of the big issues for Algorand on FIFA, is that FIFA didn't promote this at all. And it mostly seemed like a play to extract money from Algorand people. The World Cup happened, and you would think they would promote their own product because they're selling them, right? And I guess I was very surprised that they left it pretty low key. I just want to make sure we haven't missed any major Hedera news. Here's what stood out for Davos. That's right. So oh, I thought I saved this. Yeah, I forgot about this. Why didn't it end up? I don't know why this didn't end up in my Hedera bookmark folder, but I thought I had something else. I had saved this interview with Mance Harmon. So, oh, we're on the wrong one. Sorry about that. So we should watch this video with Mance Harmon of Hedera. So, 1 second here.
Model for Hedera is different than other public blockchains. The technology achieves the limit of what can be achieved in terms of security while simultaneously achieving great performance. The governance model is fundamentally different. We have a council of global enterprises. These are organizations of the caliber of Dell and IBM, Deutsche Telekom, and Google. They set the policy and provide oversight. That's unique in the market. And our pricing model is different, so your costs for delivering your products and services is predictable.
See, they're emphasizing that. That's one of the things I talked about. You know, the fact that Hedera's pricing is predictable, the fees are predictable. That's a big deal. Even Algorand doesn't have that, even though the prices are very low. It does change with the price of the token, and that doesn't happen on Hedera. So I gotta give Hedera a leg up there for sure. I think that's something I think that was a very smart design by the Hedera team. It will limit their revenue as far as like payments, because like the price going up of Hedera isn't going to impact the fees. But anyway, I think that's an important point to make. Is this the end of the video?
Hedera will provide the services needed for the new economy, and we will be invisible and ubiquitous. That's success.
Invisible but ubiquitous. So remember what I've said about abstracting the chain away, abstracting the crypto away, and kind of doing the boring but important stuff. This is why I like Algorand and I like Hedera, and why I'm also like concerned about price for the two, because the downside of like doing the right stuff and being really well, working really well, but in the background, is like people don't always know about you. And that's kind of a problem. But overall, yeah, I think we've seen that enterprises like they like the DLT. They've been coming across, they've been at the table for Hedera. So I think that's really neat. Good for Hedera. And it was nice to see them at Davos, which they kind of talked about here, Hedera at Davos. Let's see, let's take a look, and let's see. Throughout the World Economic Forum and across Promenade, the tokenization was a primary theme, no longer seen as only for stablecoins. Tokenization is expanding to every asset class, and the world's leading institutions and countries view it as a primary vehicle to move value faster, more securely, and more efficiently. And this is a big difference, by the way. This is a big difference compared to past Davos. This has been more focused. I just heard the all-in interviews from Davos, and far more talk about finances. It's more like a business conference now, and less about, some other stuff that isn't really monetary focused. The convergence of AI and blockchain was another defining topic at Davos this year. DLT enables AI systems to operate with greater accountability, integrity, and trust by providing a foundation for data provenance, model training, and automated enforcement of rules. But not only that, and I'm surprised they don't talk about this here, and AI payments is going to be a huge win for crypto. And I think it's gonna take chains like, well, I know it's not a chain, DLTs like Hedera or chains like Algorand. They're just fast, they move quickly, and they're the only ones that can really handle AI payments. So I expect big things from them. So Hedera co-founder and council member Mance Harmon joined CNBC to discuss key Hedera market differentiators, how institutions are leveraging its unique governance model and best-in-class technology for the future of finance. Very cool. So, all right, I just wanted to highlight some of that because I think that's pretty cool. Mance was on CNBC. We just had Stacey Warden on Bloomberg. These guys are starting to get noticed. The media is starting to pay attention to this and why it's important. So I think that's awesome. And I think that wraps up our Hedera segment for today. And that will be pretty much the end of our live stream today. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you haven't already hit the like button, I appreciate if you would do that. Help send it to more people. And otherwise, it looks like people kind of chilled out. If we were able to talk crypto, that's more important. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Stay safe. Keep an eye on the markets, or don't, as you may want. And otherwise, I'm Frugal BC, and I will see you